Thank you, President Chang, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Delatorre, and Executive Cabinet, and thank you for that beautiful introduction into this presentation. This evening, staff will present an overview of San Marino Unified's key research-based approaches to positive behavioral management systems aimed at creating safe and inclusive learning environments. The programs highlighted in this presentation is not an exhaustive listing, as there are many approaches that our teachers, our counselors, our staff, and our administrators employ on a daily basis as they continue to create safe learning environments for every student that is focused more on being inclusive rather than exclusionary. Tonight's presentation will highlight implementation of key behavioral management systems and structures, district and site level implementation and related professional development opportunities over the past several years, and a deeper understanding of program implementation and its impact with respect to each school site as shared by our site principals and our counselors. This slide highlights the important work of San Marino Unified School District's commitment over the years in effort to create a positive and inclusive learning environment for each and every student. This work includes ongoing implementation of the following key systems of support, which include multi-tiered systems of support, which is also commonly known as MTSS. This is a framework every school uses to provide targeted support to students who are struggling, not only academically, but behaviorally and socially. MTSS aims to identify students needing extra help early on and offers early interventions at many different levels of intensity. As the title suggests, MTSS encompasses a variety of support and interventions to ensure that all actions are aligned to supporting the academic, behavioral, and/or social emotional needs of every student. We also have response to intervention, which is also known as RTI, and this is implemented district-wide and offers an instructional framework used in schools to identify and support struggling learners through a multi-tiered approach, providing increasingly intensive support and interventions based on each student's individual needs and progress to ensure that the right appropriate support and intervention is provided to the right student at the right time in the most effective way. RTI and MTSS are both frameworks for supporting students. RTI primarily focuses on the academic interventions for struggling learners, while MTSS is a broader umbrella and encompasses the academic, behavioral, and social emotional support for all students. Positive behavior intervention and supports, commonly known as PBIS, which has been mentioned a few times this evening, is an evidence-based framework used to improve student behavior and create safe, positive learning environments. PBIS focuses on proactively teaching and reinforcing positive behaviors and preventing the challenging behaviors. Universal Design for Learning, commonly known as UDL, offers a framework that focuses on designing learning experiences for all students. UDL allows for student agency, student voice, and choice in their learning. And lastly, restorative practices, an approach that promotes community building, empathy, and a sense of belonging and restoration of relationships to foster care, empathy, accountability, and positive interactions. For each of these key programs, I'll share a brief overview of district-led professional learning opportunities that have demonstrated successful in providing our students, staff, and oftentimes parents the knowledge and resources necessary to effective program implementation and positive student outcomes. Each school site will later provide a more in-depth look at how each of these programs have been implemented and strengthened over the years at each of their respective schools. Resolute implementation of PBIS, an evidence-based framework, began early on, right in the middle of COVID 2020-2021 school year, and continues to help lead the work of creating a safe and inclusive learning environment at each of our schools, but particularly at our elementary schools who have really formally adopted the framework of PBIS. District-wide and school site-specific professional learning opportunities were provided as we began the work of PBIS. Throughout the 2021 school year and each subsequent year thereafter, both Carver and Valentine participated in the PBIS team professional learning or training each year, which was led by the LA County Office of Education. These trainings provided teachers, administrators, and parents resources and tools needed to create systems and conditions that lead to positive outcomes and safe learning environments. Our principals will share a little bit more in depth shortly about what this looks like at each of their schools. I'm also certain that the principals will definitely highlight that this past year in 2024, both schools have been recognized by the state of California for their hard work, dedication, and commitment to implementing systems that foster safe and inclusive learning environments for students. Carver earning silver and Valentine earning gold. And I believe they are both slated for platinum next year. District-wide work with Universal for Design for Learning, an educational framework that offers flexibility in how information is presented, how students engage with the information and material, and how they demonstrate mastery or their understanding. This also began with Fidelity during the same time, 2020 and 2021. Similar to PBIS, throughout the 2021 school year and each subsequent year thereafter, all 4 schools participated in annual trainings with LACO, the LA County Office of Education, and or an outside expert agency called Focus Schools. These are expert consultants who work closely with our site administrators and provide ongoing coaching sessions to further develop concrete, inclusive learning experiences for all learners. And this work continues year after year and has positively contributed to increased levels of student engagement and achievement. Lastly, this slide illustrates the all-encompassing work of implementing restorative practices over the past years in efforts to build a strong community and positive, inclusive school environments. In 2022-23, an inaugural district-wide restorative practices cohort began the district's learning journey, prioritizing strategies that focus on repairing harm and building relationships and community, promoting conflict resolution and accountability with the goal, again, of creating positive and inclusive learning environments. Research demonstrates, and is the premise of restorative practices, that when community is built and students feel like they belong, they are less likely to disrupt the environment and or inflict harm on others. Staff from all sites participated in the cohort that engaged in 3 full-day learning sessions led by Ms. Karen Yunker, who is an expert in restorative practices. Having gained much interest in recognizing the value of restorative practices, the following year, a trainer of trainer cohort was launched. That cohort also participated in year-long professional development at all 4 school sites. This cohort has approximately 5 to 15 participating members at each site. A parent information session was also conducted through Partnership for Awareness to share an overview of the benefits of restorative practices and its implementation at our schools and with our families. In 2024, professional learning was also extended to our site leaders, specifically our principals, our assistant principals, our school psychologists, our counselors, our librarians, and more, to further strengthen school-wide understanding and implementation of the value of conducting community circles, building community and empathy. Over the past 5 years, the San Marino Unified School District has been extremely committed to strengthening systems and creating conditions that promote safe, inclusive learning environments. This work could not be done without the dedication and the hard work of our teachers, our staff, our students, our administrators, and our community. Through the support and direction from the Educational Services Department, this work continues to evolve year after year and continues to strengthen based on the individual needs of our schools and our students. In the next few slides, school staff will share more in-depth site-level implementation and the impact and benefits of this work. So at this time, I would like to pass it over to our two elementary principals who will be presenting information on their school sites, and our amazing counselor, Miss Stacy Beavers. Would you like the clicker?
Thank you, Dr. Richter, President Chang, board members, Dr. De La Torre, and cabinet. MTSS is an umbrella framework that weaves academic, social emotional learning, mental health services, PBIS, and restorative practices into one coherent continuum. In our multi-tiered systems of support, we have Tier 1 for all students, Tier 2 for some, and Tier 3 for few. MTSS ensures no student just falls through the cracks, aligning resources so the right help reaches the right child at the right time. Supports we have in place for academics include rigorous instruction based on core curriculum to teach the state standards, outlined by learning targets and objectives for each lesson, utilization of universal design for learning framework into our lesson planning, teacher and staff collaboration through professional learning communities and staff professional development to support the research-based best practices for instruction. Supports in place for behavior management include our school-wide PBIS, which we call Valentine Heart at Valentine and Carver at Carver. And these are the traits that we explicitly teach and base our programs on. Restorative practices and community building circles, our social emotional curriculum called Second Step, and the professional development that continues to be provided to our teachers and staff. Our programs to support students' social emotional wellness include, again, our Second Step curriculum, mindfulness, training and understanding of trauma-informed practices and restorative approaches. We have calming corners in every classroom, and we continue to grow as educators through the professional development in all areas of our MTSS supports. So I would like to introduce our Valentine School counselor, Stacy Beavers, to dive a little bit deeper into our Tier 1 programs of support.
So at Valentine, we are committed to creating a school environment that is safe, supportive, and inclusive for every student. One of the main ways we do this is through the implementation of PBIS, Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports. It is a proactive school-wide framework that focuses on teaching and reinforcing positive behaviors to build a strong, respectful, and connected school community. At the heart of our PBIS system is a shared understanding of what it means to be a member of our school. We encourage and recognize students when they show heart, which stands for being helpful, empathetic, accepting, respectful, and trustworthy. These values guide our expectations and interactions throughout the school day. To reinforce these behaviors, we use heart slips. When staff see students demonstrating heart in action, whether it's helping a peer, showing kindness, including others, or being a role model, they receive a heart slip. Every other Friday, we hold a raffle and select one winner from each classroom to come to the office and choose a special prize. But the recognition doesn't stop there. All remaining heart slips are added to our school-wide heart container. When the heart container is full, our entire school celebrates with an extra 20-minute recess. What makes this event even more special is that we do turn it into a mini event. We bring out speakers to play upbeat music. We provide sidewalk chalk for creative fun and give students a joyful break that reinforces the power of positive behavior and community spirit. When students are not following our PBIS expectations, we support them by providing an opportunity to reflect and learn from their actions. They complete a heart reflection form, which helps them think about the choices they made, how those choices did not align with our expectations, and what they can do differently in the future. This process encourages personal growth and helps students take responsibility in a supportive and constructive way. PBIS and the HEART program aren't just about behavior management, they are about building a school culture where students feel seen, valued, and motivated to contribute to a welcoming environment. It helps us nurture not only academic success, but also strong character, positive relationships, and a true sense of belonging. At our school, we also provide an additional robust framework of Tier 1 school-wide supports. Central to our approach is a commitment to restorative practices, trauma-informed care, and comprehensive social-emotional learning, also known as SEL. These supports are vital to creating a safe and inclusive environment. Restorative practices form the cornerstone of our behavior support system. Through restorative circles, classroom discussions, and reflection activities, students are encouraged to build strong relationships, reflect on their actions, and repair harm in a meaningful way. These practices have helped us shift away from punitive discipline and towards a more empathetic, community-centered approach. Teachers facilitate daily or weekly restorative circles that allow students to express themselves, resolve conflicts, and practice active listening. These regular opportunities for connection have proven especially valuable in building community. Our trauma-informed approach acknowledges the diverse experiences students bring to school and aims to promote resilience, safety, and emotional regulation. In the aftermath of the wildfires, this philosophy was especially critical. At Valentine, we received 47 students who were impacted by the wildfires. In response, administrators, teachers, and I worked in close collaboration to address the heightened social emotional needs of these students with compassion, flexibility, and consistency. Teachers and staff received professional development on trauma-informed strategies. Our team ensured open communication among families, support staff, and classroom teachers, fostering a network of support for every child. A foundational component of our Tier 1 supports is the consistent implementation of the second step curriculum, a research and evidence-based social emotional learning SEL program. Second step is grounded in decades of research on child development, neuroscience, and behavior science. It is widely recognized for its effectiveness in improving students' social emotional competencies, behavior, and academic performance, while also reducing instances of bullying and emotional distress. At our school, second step lessons are delivered every other week to all students from TK through 5th grade. The curriculum is carefully scaffolded by age and developmental level to build SEL competencies progressively. Each lesson is designed to be engaging, interactive, and aligned with 5 core competencies: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. The curriculum is structured into 4 main units. Unit 1 is skills for learning and growth mindset. Unit 2, empathy and kindness. Unit 3, emotion management. And finally, Unit 4, problem solving. To ensure continuity between school and home, I send parent follow-up emails after each lesson. These communications include a summary of the lesson objectives and a home link, an optional developmentally appropriate activity that parents can complete with their child to reinforce the concepts taught. These activities provide families with a shared language for discussing emotions, problem solving, and healthy social behaviors. Many parents have expressed appreciation for this connection, noting that it helps them reinforce SEL at home in meaningful ways. In October, our school integrates bullying prevention curriculum as part of National Bully Prevention Month. These targeted lessons teach students to recognize bullying and differentiate it from other conflicts, refuse to support or engage in bullying behavior, report bullying to trusted adults, include and support peers who may be isolated, and cyberbullying in 4th and 5th grade. These lessons emphasize empowerment, bystander intervention, and community responsibility, aligning with our broader goal of creating a safe and inclusive school environment. The Second Step program is not just a curriculum, it's a school-wide strategy that fosters positive behavior, enhances student connectedness, and equips our students with lifelong skills in emotional intelligence and resilience. Its evidence-based impact paired with consistent delivery and family engagement has made it a cornerstone of our school's SEL efforts. To complement our SEL efforts, I've also incorporated regular mindfulness sessions through the Mind Yeti program, a research-based extension of Second Step. So Mind Yeti uses guided audio sessions to help students practice calming their minds and bodies, build awareness of their emotions, and develop focus. These short, engaging mindfulness practices are delivered every other week alongside Second Step and are customized to suit the developmental age, developmental level of each grade. We found Mind Yeti especially beneficial in supporting students dealing with anxiety, trauma, or difficulties with self-regulation. On a side note, our PE teacher also utilizes Mind Yeti during PE. Calming corners. So thanks to a generous grant from Partnership for Awareness, we were able to implement calming down corners in every classroom as part of our school-wide Tier 1 support system. These dedicated spaces are intentionally designed to help students practice self-regulation and regain emotional control when feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, anxious, or dysregulated. Each calming corner includes a variety of sensory tools and tactile objects, such as stress balls, fidget spinners, and textured cushions, items that offer students a safe and non-disruptive way to manage their physical responses to stress. In addition to sensory tools, the corners are equipped with visual supports. So these include step-by-step visual guides for calming down, emotion charts with facial expressions and feeling words to help them identify what they're experiencing, breathing technique posters, grounding activities such as the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sensory checklist. Students are taught that the calming down corner is not a punitive place, but rather a proactive tool for self-care and emotional well-being. Students are encouraged to use the space when they recognize their own signs of escalation or when prompted gently by a teacher. Over time, students begin to internalize the coping strategies practiced in the corner and learn to self-regulate more independently. By normalizing the need for breaks and supporting students in understanding and managing their emotions, calming down corners have become an invaluable component of our trauma-informed and SEL-aligned school environment. So altogether, these Tier 1 supports create a school culture where students feel seen, supported, and capable of managing life's challenges, whether they are facing everyday frustrations or recovering from significant trauma like the wildfires. Our commitment to proactive school-wide social-emotional learning, restorative relationships, and trauma-informed care ensures every child has the tools and support needed to thrive both academically and emotionally. Next slide. Okay. So while our school is committed to providing robust Tier 1 supports for all students, we also recognize that some students require more targeted support. For those students who continue to struggle academically, behaviorally, socially, or emotionally, despite our Tier 1 efforts, we have a structured and collaborative intervention process in place called CARE, which stands for Coordinating Available Resources in Education. The CARE process is designed to ensure that all available school-based resources are thoughtfully coordinated to address a student's specific needs. When a teacher observes ongoing concerns in a student, whether in academics, attendance, behavior, social-emotional development, speech and language, or fine gross motor skills, they initiate a CARE referral. This referral is the starting point of a team-based approach to early intervention. Once a referral is submitted, a CARE team meeting is scheduled. This team typically includes the school administrator, school counselor, school psychologist, and the referring general education teacher. Depending on the nature of the concern, the team may also include our speech and language pathologist or occupational therapist for additional expertise and support. During the CARE meeting, the team collaboratively reviews all relevant student data, teacher observations, classroom performance, and any prior interventions attempted. Together, the team discusses the student's strengths and needs and works to identify the root causes of the difficulties. Based on this conversation, we developed a tailored intervention and/or accommodation plan that may include academic scaffolds, behavioral strategies, SEL supports, or environmental accommodations. A critical part of the CARE process is implementation and progress monitoring. The agreed upon strategies are carried out, typically by the classroom teacher, and are carefully tracked over a 6 to 8 week period. During this time, data collection is ongoing and purposeful. Teachers track student performance, behavioral trends, and other relevant indicators to determine the effectiveness of the intervention. At the end of the intervention cycle, the CARE team reconvenes to analyze the data. This collaborative reflection helps the team decide whether the current plan is successful and should remain and just continue, or the plan needs to be modified or intensified, or if the student requires a more formalized problem-solving process through a student success team, also known as SST, meeting.
All right, so as Mrs. Beaver shared, that when students have needs and we go through a CARE process, we see three trends, right? What we have in place is working, what we have in place is not working and might need more support, or we know that this student requires more tier 2, tier 3 supports. So we move then into an SST, a student success team process, and that's a critical component of our multi-tiered system of supports, specifically at tiers 2 and 3. So an SST provides a structured, collaborative approach to problem solving to identify and address students' needs through targeted interventions. For students who require support beyond the universal tier 1 level, and the student requires more than just a few interventions that we put in place by the CARE team, an SST is initiated. And an SST serves as a key mechanism to design individualized plans, monitor progress, and adjust strategies to ensure growth and success. This process ensures that every student receives the support they need to make progress, and that support is data-driven, equitable, and responsive. The SST framework strengthens our MTSS by providing a clear pathway for intervention, accountability, and family engagement, ultimately providing outcomes for our most vulnerable learners. Through data analysis by the SST team, we will determine next steps by continuing what is in place and working, modifying or changing what is in place if it's not working, or even referring the student for tier 3 supports. The CARE and SST process ensures that every student receives the support they need at the right level and at the right time. It fosters a culture of early intervention, shared responsibility, and professional collaboration. And ultimately, the CARE and SST process embodies our school commitment to equity, inclusivity, and whole child support. It bridges the gap between classroom observations, targeted interventions, because we want to ensure that every child has access to these resources, the accommodations, and the opportunities for them to thrive in our classrooms. So as we look at examples of tier 2 and tier 3 supports, we want to emphasize the targeted and individualized strategies we're implementing to meet students where they are. These supports are designed for students who need more than just that core instruction and universal strategies. And as we enter tier 2 and tier 3, some and few students actually need the support because they aren't responding to our tier 1 program. At tier 2, you'll see interventions like small group instruction, differentiated and personalized learning, after-school tutoring, and behavioral support such as check-in, check-out, and daily behavior reports. These help address emerging academic and behavioral needs early. Through our work, our team identifies the skill deficits a student may have, and we implement interventions to support their specific needs. At Tier 3, the interventions become more intense and individualized, and this includes behavior contracts, targeted restorative circles, short-term individual or group counseling, and the use of social stories and sensory tools. And when necessary, referrals for psychoeducational assessments for special education services. We're also addressing attendance concerns through SART meetings and supporting overall wellness through access to our Titan Wellness Center. Together, these supports reflect our commitment to whole child development, ensuring every student receives that right level of support to help them. We are very proud of the progress we've made in building a safe and inclusive school environment for our students through the thoughtful implementation of Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. And we're seeing positive trends as our programs are implemented with greater fidelity, which is reflected in both our behavioral data and school climate feedback. One of the key efforts has been refining how we respond to student behavior. Minor behaviors are now consistently addressed and documented by classroom teachers, while major behaviors are referred to administration and tracked school-wide. With the transition to digital office discipline referrals this year, we've improved accessibility, consistency, and our ability to analyze trends. To date, our referral numbers for major offenses remain stable, despite our increased enrollment, showing that our supports are working. Our Tier 2 interventions are data-driven, and we use ongoing progress monitoring to ensure that supports are tailored and effective for each student. This year, we also completed our final PBIS tiered fidelity inventory in April and scored between 80 and 100% across all tiers, making both Valentine and Carver eligible for PBIS Platinum implementation recognition, a testament to the dedication of our staff and the strength of our MTSS framework. And additionally, we use California Healthy Kids Survey data from our students, from our parents and staff to reflect on the continuously improvement of our systems, ensuring we're not only responsive, but proactive in creating a supportive environment, because we want all of our students to be safe, included, and receiving the individualized support to meet their needs.
It's a true honor to work at our elementary schools where amazing things happen, and Carver and Valentine are very much in line. Ms. McAlpine and I collaborate regularly. So I'm going to add a little bit relative to social emotional learning and calming corners, because I know Ms. Beavers and Dr. Amy now. Our counselor got her doctorate just this last week, so we're celebrating that. Dr. Amy worked really hard to implement this. As Ms. McAlpine shared, both schools utilize the second step curriculum in all classes with all grades. This is a Tier 1 support to help foster a positive classroom environment by teaching students how to manage emotions, build healthy relationships, and navigate challenges effectively. This curriculum is research-based and supported by lots of empirical evidence. Ms. McAlpine also spoke briefly about calming corners, as did Ms. Beavers. These are Tier 1 supports that are embedded in every single classroom at Carver and Valentine. They involve SEL books, fidget toys, and comfort items. Teachers make calming corners available to all of their students following classroom processes. I want to talk a little bit about counseling supports. We are fortunate to have a full-time counselor at each of our elementary schools. This is something that our school board and our district leadership helped us to implement during the 23-24 school year. Our counselors provide Tier 1 support through the second step curriculum and individual and small group counseling as a Tier 2 intervention. At Carver, we have also implemented unique programs like the De-Stress Recess, a parent learning series, Coffee with the Counselor. By the way, our first session is this Thursday. It's on tackling mental health and academic stress. We have Peace Patrol, where a group of trained students help peers to resolve conflicts during recess. All of these interventions are tracked and monitored by our counselor, and regular well-being check-ins for our fire impacted enrollees are also conducted. I want to flip to the next slide. So here you can see our PBIS flow chart. Carver and Valentine were both awarded for our PBIS work, as you've heard tonight, for the 23-24 school year, earning silver and gold respectively. Awards are issued through a rigorous process that involves 2 on-site evaluations by trained LACO staff. Both Carver and Valentine have applied for platinum recognition for 2025. Carver was originally going to apply for gold, but was told by the LACO on-site evaluator that we met all of the criteria for platinum and should apply for that level of recognition. In fact, we had staff who scored perfect scores during the on-site evaluation by the LACO representative. The LACO evaluator told us that in all of her years of doing this work, she has never issued anyone a perfect score. Here you can see our flow charts developed by our PBIS committees. These provide guidelines for identifying and addressing in-class behaviors and for escalating to office-managed behaviors. Office data referrals are initiated by teachers or staff. We regularly analyze these as part of the PBIS process, as has been described by Ms. Beavers and Ms. McAlpine, to identify hotspots, hot times, or particular behavioral patterns and to make systematic adjustments accordingly. You can see from the data, though enrollment has increased at Carver and Valentine, the numbers of ODRs has remained relatively flat. You may also note that in terms of raw numbers, Carver's has a few more than Valentine. A portion of those ODRs for both 24 and 25 were reflective of a very small number of students who received multiple ODRs each. Through the PBIS process and data analysis, those students were escalated to the Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention processes. This is exactly how PBIS is meant to work, and we're very pleased to be engaged in that work now for the past few years. I'd like now to turn it over to our principal of Huntington Middle School, Ms. Hazlett.
Good evening. I am here with our assistant principal, Ms. Michelle Coda, and our wonderful wellness counselor, Mrs. Peijin Chen. And I would like to thank our colleagues for doing a wonderful job explaining the acronyms and various tools that we all use here. I will speak in a little EduSpeak and say, in addition to our UDL lessons that our teachers teach in the classroom, the RTI supports that we provide, such as our after-school support for academics and our SST meetings for students who need additional conferences to discuss what may be contributing to underperformance in either behaviors or academics, which may or may not lead to those psychoeducational evaluations. What we would like to focus on primarily tonight is our wellness resources and the recent advances in the last year that have happened at Huntington Middle School. So I'd like to start with our wellness provides tiered levels of support, including the popular Zen Zone, which is a lunchtime hangout for our students to relax and decompress. You'll see a photo of it in a minute. Our wellness also provides small after-school social emotional support groups based on grade level and parent wellness support, as well as one-on-one therapy. So our wellness services expanded this year to include Ms. Peijin Chen, our bilingual Mandarin English therapist. We transformed a former workroom into a welcoming counseling space for students and families. Our administration holds monthly collaborative meetings with the HMS with HMS school counselor, our wellness therapist, our school psychologist, and our Titan Wellness lead counselor to review referrals and plans for support for our students. In the 24-25 school year, there have been approximately 1,400 student visits to access our wellness services, and that's including the fun lunchtime Zen Zone. Primarily, as you can see, 49.1% are sixth graders, 33.8 are seventh graders, 10.9 are eighth graders, and 6.2 are Valentine students because they come over to our wellness center as well. We share that with them. 86.7% of our students who have accessed our wellness spaces have returned more than once. And out of 107 confidential referrals, approximately 1/3 are from parents. Take it over. Yeah. Oops, I'll say it.
Nice to see everybody. I'm patient Chen. Thank you, Ms. Hazlett, for the wonderful introduction. I'm going to talk a little bit about the tiered levels of support that the Wellness Center offers. Stuart, Winnie, you had an amazing presentation. I'm going to be a little more casual and just talk about the things that we do. So for tier 1 is the universal support. That means that all the students, regardless of their needs, get to access that. One of the things that we are actually doing right now this week in honor of to recognize Mental Health Awareness Month is a Mental Health Awareness Week at the middle school, where we are pushing into every single classroom with the most commonly seen, I guess, issues or topics that are brought up both with students and also their parents. And this includes test anxiety, right? This includes cell phone usage, right? A lot of parents are concerned about how their students are using cell phones. So oh, sure. Yeah, of course. And so we are pushing into every classroom and is that better? Is this better? Okay. Okay, I will speak a little bit closer. So we are pushing into every classroom with this level of support. With a new wellness space that Ms. Hazlett was talking about, we now are able to have an open door policy, much like the Titan Wellness Center at the high school, where students with permission from their teacher are able to really just walk in without an appointment, because sometimes we have emotional needs that can't be scheduled, right? We have them right now. We have a meltdown. We have a unkind word that was said, and we need that support right away. And so what the new wellness space offers is that we also have a monthly parent wellness connection where we invite all of our families, not just the HMS families, but high school families, elementary school families, to come and to have not only connecting with myself, but also with other parents, because you guys share a lot of the same questions, and your children are going through a lot of the same things. And we're here not as necessarily experts telling you what to do, but really people to collaborate with. And we want you to learn from us as much as from the other families and parents. We have a Zen Zone. Ms. Hazlett talked about that. We'll share a picture of that in a little bit. That is open during lunchtime. So it is a calming space where students can come. It is screen-free, tech-free, and they play with sand, they play puzzles, they play card games. We even had some students come in and do yoga and do stretching, and it's a quiet space for them when sometimes the playground's just a little too much, it's too much activity. The special events that we were talking about include what we have going on this week, which is the Mental Health Awareness Week. We are bringing puppies to the school. So we have puppy therapy for our students, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. And we're also really recognizing our staff and teachers who work really hard. And so we are bringing some of that mental health support to them as well, in the form of goat therapy and goat yoga. So our staff had Monday, had the opportunity to do some of that, because we know, when the teachers are supported, the students are supported, and we want to create that cycle. Going on to tier 2, which is a targeted support, we run evidence and need-based small group sessions after school, targeted to different grades, so 6th, 7th, 8th. Some of these in the past have included topics such as anxiety management, time management, and also social skills. And we also provide our 8th graders with a special session where they get to meet with our fabulous seniors from the high school, who come actually in person to the middle school and let them know, hey, this is what high school is really about, right? Let's hear it from the students and not, you know, just from the counselors. We also have, oh yeah, attendance calls. So that is targeted support to students who maybe have missed attendance, missed school. We have a lot of Chinese speaking families. And so, you know, I feel very fortunate to be able to use my language skills to communicate with them. I hop on the phone with them all the time. Hey, what's going on? And sometimes it's really just, I woke up late. Sometimes there's another issue, right? And then so I get to spend a few minutes with them on the phone. And depending on what the topic is and their concerns are, or the reason why their student was late, then we can pass it on to our team, right? Maybe it's something that our school counselor, June Gonzalez, who wasn't able to be with us tonight, maybe it's something where she can provide the support, something that Ms. Hazlett, Ms. Koda can provide the support. So those attendance calls, it may seem small, but it does lead to additional support. And then tier 3 for HMS Wellness is really one-on-one goal-oriented therapy sessions for students. So the therapy sessions that we provide for our students are, it's just like what you would get outside if you went to a private therapist. It is confidential, it is private. We do assessments and we also set goals with the students. And the goals that we set with the students are not my goals per se. It is really what the student needs to work on. And we have found that the more involved they are in the process of setting the goals, the more motivation they have to achieve those goals. And, you know, as we work with them, we also include parents, guardians in the assessment process and in the treatment process. And, you know, one of the greatest feelings is when after we work with them, the student graduates from therapy and they take the tools that they learned and they can move on. Yeah, and finally, that we have risk and threat assessment, and that is typically performed with administration or our school psychologist, Don Duranzo, or June Gonzalez, our counselor. Yeah. Oh, and this is mine too. Okay, so this gives you a little visual of the spaces that we have created at HMS dedicated to wellness. So I'll read it really quick. HMS offers 3 dedicated wellness spaces in addition to our counselor and school psychologist offices. These spaces are designed to provide a supportive environment for meetings and to address students' social and emotional needs. The Wellness Lounge, aka the Zen Zone, provides lunchtime relaxation activities. So you'll see the Wellness Lounge at the top. That is our largest space. That is where the Zen Zone is held. Typically, we have about 25 students capped during lunch, and you know, sometimes we do have to turn them away in order to keep it a little more manageable. On the bottom left is our Fox Wellness Den, which is a space that we also see families in, we see students in. And finally, the Wellness Counseling Office at the bottom right is a newest addition to HMS Wellness, also my office space. So I'm very, very grateful for that.
That was a supply closet and we turned it into a beautiful counseling. Thank you.
All right, my name's Michelle Coda. I'm the assistant principal at Huntington Middle School. I have the unique perspective of I taught at San Marino High School for 8 years and was one of the members of that original cohort of the restorative practice with Miss Younger. And so I was able to implement some of those practices as a teacher in my 9th, 10th, and 11th grade classrooms. Now, obviously, in my role as assistant principal and working towards behavior improvement, I've seen the benefit of it in this role as well. And also, I have a child attending Valentine Elementary, and he has been the beneficiary of Miss McAlpine and Miss Beaver's extraordinary work. So I have seen the incredible efforts, and I'm so grateful to the board and the district officials for pioneering this at our district. So again, we have over the last few years worked with Miss Yunker and the restorative practices that she spearheads. We initially had her train many members of our staff who then became trainers of other staff members, and we still see to this day community circles being implemented in classrooms with fidelity. It's a really incredible program. one of our first activities at our back to school professional development was one of our strongest teachers with regard to community circles led one for our entire staff. And it was so well received. Our new teachers were so eager to learn from them. They shared resources. So even our newer teachers who weren't able to participate in some of those earlier trainings benefited from them. In my role as an administrator, we have shifted from some of those exclusionary practices. Ms. Hazlett and I have worked really hard to create more restorative measures. As Dr. De La Torre mentioned, current research really indicates that some of those exclusionary practices not only are typically quite inequitably distributed, but also very ineffective in moving students towards positive behavior changes. So what Ms. Hazlett and I have been doing is there is no one size fits all approach to behavior improvement. And so we've been really spending the time working with each individual student, looking at their circumstances and context, and creating tailor-made restorative and instructional approaches to each individual student. We've also incorporated restorative circles for conflict resolution, and something that we've both been really working towards this year is that follow-up. So we'll hold the restorative circle with the students who are having difficulty, and then in that meeting, we will schedule a follow-up meeting 2 to 3 weeks later to ensure that commitments that have been made are being held to. And I'll say, and again, I'm sure Ms. Hazlett will be able to echo this, we have seen so few recurrences of negative behavior since we've seen this implemented. So we're really pleased with the success rate of the measures that we've been putting forth the last few years.
I think I can probably see that better here. What I wanted to also share is some of the additions in terms of safety and security and ways we keep them active and engaged or meeting new friends and not creating their own mischief. So in addition to our clear communication of expectations with all students every fall and spring in PE classes, we go in the fall and we go in the spring, reminding them of rules and expectations, as well as the fun things that are to come. It's not just a rules assembly, it's a combination. Welcome to HMS, or come on, welcome back, and reminders if any changes have happened. Specifics to the site are we've been, again, benefits of some grants and some mindful planning. We've added more cameras, and we always want more cameras. I've been an administrator in many schools, and it always feels like they find the place where the camera isn't and they do the mischief and we don't have proof. But we have so many amazing cameras now that it makes the conversation go a lot faster because they know we saw what they did and we can get to the why and what were you thinking, and if you were to do it again, all those conversations. So the cameras have been a godsend, very, very helpful. We've also implemented a policy this year that students must be in after-school tutoring support or sports practice or the library or heading home at 3 o'clock, because sometimes we'd have some shenanigans after school at 3 and we didn't have supervision, right? I don't pay people after school to monitor the campus. And I guess it was in place maybe before COVID, but then after we came back from COVID, we really wanted to encourage the kids to chat and get along and make friends again. But I implemented this year that no, at 3 o'clock, head on to your next adventure. And Ms. Coda and I remind the students every day at 3 o'clock in a friendly tone of what they're supposed to do and where they're supposed to be. In addition, I just wanted to share some of the things that our ASB, our PTA, our groups on campus spend a lot of time providing our students in terms of engagement. So our teachers are encouraged and volunteer their lunches to provide clubs and hangouts so that the students can build friendships with similar interests. Our ASB provides opportunities for homeroom competitions, spirit dress-up days, dances, lunchtime events, etc. Our athletics, which is both intramural and travel, our arts, which is band, choir, orchestra, art class, and our outdoor education opportunities provide physical and creative outlets and create those social opportunities. Our web team, which are those older brothers and sisters in 8th grade, supervise the 6th graders and support them through their transitional year at school, which is when, right, it's 6th grade and 9th grade are the hardest years, right, when you're transitioning into new schools. And Webb does a wonderful job going into 6th grade homerooms on a monthly basis to interact with the kids, bond with the kids, and help them understand how you do HMS. And then, oops, and that's it. All right. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. Oh.
I cannot speak, Mr. Chang, if you don't want me to. Thank you, President Chang, members of the board, Dr. Delatorre, cabinet. First, I'd like to say how impressed I am with my elementary and middle school colleagues. Those presentations were really amazing. The high school is a little bit of a different animal. We don't deal with a lot of the same issues. In some respects, dealing with older students is a little bit more straightforward. And Ms. Alhende is going to talk quite a bit about what our wellness center does. But I want to just spend a minute just kind of talking about what we are doing at the high school when it comes to behavior and how much what Tanya is doing with the Wellness Center is working for us. But unlike with younger students, California Education Code has a lot of behaviors that are specific usually to older kids that actually do require a mandatory suspension. So there are instances where we have to suspend students, and I'm really proud to say that we have not suspended any students this year. And it's not because we've been told not to suspend them, it's because our students haven't committed any of those offenses that would have required us to do that. And I think it's because of all the things that you've heard here tonight, not just the things that we're doing with the older students at the high school, but because of what our colleagues are doing with the younger students, that by the time they get to us, they have had a lot of that practice of solving problems before they can create them and get into, as Ms. Hazlett said, any shenanigans at the high school. So some of the things that we have done, I want to mirror a little bit about what Ms. Cota said, and also the elementary principals, when they talked a lot, they used the word needs a lot. And I've been a high school principal for 20 years. I have suspended hundreds, if not thousands of students. It has never worked. I'm happy to be in a place now where we recognize that that doesn't work and to look for things that do work. And one of the reasons why is because needs. And when we look at all the things that Dr. Richter talked about academically, when I look at the work that I'm doing with our teachers about grading reform, when we look at what we're doing in the classroom, we always talk about the difference between equality and equity. Equality means treating everybody exactly the same, which rarely works. Equity means treating everybody to what they need. And when it comes to behavior and discipline, following a behavior matrix equally doesn't take into account that perpetrators have different needs and victims have different needs. And so when we have issues that happen at the high school, we want to work with the students and the families to restore the problem so that the problem doesn't keep repeating. Because a suspension solves the problem for 2 days and then the student returns and the problem is still there. So everything that we are trying to do is geared towards that. We have had assemblies to talk to the students about some of the major issues that affect older students, like technology and cyberbullying. Ms. Penelora, our assistant principal, and myself, we visit homerooms. We go and talk to the students individually in every homeroom. It takes months to do, but the personal conversations are worth it. We do a lot of the tier 1 stuff in our classrooms. Our teachers know that they're required to handle the problems first. They're required to contact parents first before administrators get involved, unless of course it's something really serious, which again, we didn't have any of this year. And I can tell you, like, when we ask in an interview, when we're hiring new teachers and we ask the question, what's your behavioral plan in your classroom? The answer I'm always looking for is, the best behavior plan is an engaged lesson. So all the work that we're doing with UDL and research-based instructional practices and project-based learning keeps students so busy they don't have time for the shenanigans. And that is just the simple things that we're doing, but really the real work comes from, and we're very lucky, I'm very lucky that I have the Wellness Center on my campus, and not only have Miss Alhindi, but her entire staff of college interns that work with our students on a lot of these issues. So I will turn it over to her.
Well, good evening. There's been a lot of information shared, and I'm very proud to be standing before you. Every year, I do typically request to come and speak in front of the board and the community to share all of the wonderful things that are happening throughout the Wellness Center. This year, the year got away from us, and so many things were going on. So this is a wonderful opportunity that without request, now here I am, and I'm able to share this information. So I appreciate all of your time in coming out. So just to talk about the Titan Wellness Center, it's our school-based mental health program for the district. So what that means is we're able to provide the therapy services that much of the community is looking for right on our school campuses in a convenient, easy to access way. So what you're seeing up there on the slide is just a breakdown of the referrals that we get from the school district and what it looks like. So even though I'm over at the high school and I'm under Dr. Wolf, we have 8 different MFT trainees that come and support us and deliver those mental health services to all of the school sites. So as each of those different school sites were presenting, the Titan Wellness Center is kind of in the background. Every time one of the school districts mentioned that tier 3, that is really wellness and what we do. That is that extra level of just something that oftentimes extends to the parent as well. So as we're talking about behavior issues and things, and the school does what they can within their frameworks and practices at the school site, well, then there's an additional layer of how can we support the parent. So one of the things that was talked about is suspension or sending kids home. What we find is when we work with those parents who are also recognizing that some of their kids need additional support, that they really struggle. What do I do when the kid comes home? Because we don't want to reward, but we want to foster that engagement time. So those are some of the things that we do in the Wellness Center that is just kind of behind the scenes. I think one of the other things that really stood out to me in listening to the parents' response is that transparency and sharing all of that information. The Titan Wellness Center works because of privacy and confidentiality. And it would be totally inappropriate for us to put out a list of how many parent issues we dealt with, or specific parents, or names, or infractions, or all of those things. It just doesn't seem really to help support the mission that we're all actively trying to engage in, because ultimately we want to see all of our students do well and all of our schools do well. So with that being said, it's having conversations, giving feedback. What different things can we provide, and how can we meet the changing, evolving needs of our community, whether you have an address in San Marino or you choose to access this amazing school institution. So it is a privilege for everyone that gets to encounter San Marino Unified, whether you work here, whether your students attend here, or whether you're blessed to have a permit so your child goes here. So I think all of these things collectively, we are all supporting as a team. So we're doing that in the Titan Wellness Center. So that's why, even though we're at the high school, we want to make sure that we are servicing all of our school sites. So you can see the breakdown of the referrals that come from San Marino High School, HMS. You see that HMS has an uptick in referrals because we do offer those groups. And so that also includes making a referral so we can track what are the needs and the services that we provided. And then you could see the referrals for Valentine at 22, and then the referrals at Carver for 28. So those discussions are happening at all of the school sites of who needs that tier 3, and then they're referred to us. So the top 5 reasons for referrals are the different things that are going on with the students that may have led to the referral. Oftentimes we could get a referral that has 1 thing checked or that has 9 things checked. But it's just really us looking at what are some of the reasons that we're getting the referrals, and what are some of the things that we can give feedback to the counselors of the school sites to then implement in the classroom, implement in those lessons, and have knowledge of. You can go to the next. So here, as I said, I can't see that far, but this is the breakdown of basically where we get those referrals. So one of the things I always like to focus on is getting parent direct referrals. I am hoping that parents connect with us, that they see us on the website, word of mouth, they connect with another parent that had a great experience with us. So that's just a breakdown of kind of where those referrals come from, and they're really important. So as you see, staff is doing the majority of the referrals because they're the ones that are intervening with the students and they're engaging with them when there's an issue or challenge or something that they see. So one of the things discussed is like outward behaviors, but at San Marino, we also have to be aware of inward behaviors. We also have to be aware of a student who was once outgoing and is now quiet. So there's lots of different reasons, but these are the different folks that make those referrals. So one of the things that's a little bit different at the high school is we do have friends referring friends. And actually just today, we got another friend referring a friend to the Wellness Center, which is a wonderful opportunity for us to engage with that student. You can click to the next. Did it go? Oh, it did go. So here's the breakdown for Carver and Valentine referrals. So it looks a little bit different. So you see the majority for, if you look at Carver, there's those 28 referrals that I spoke of. So 14 came from staff. That could be admin, counselor. It could really be, or it could be teacher. It could be any staff member, school psychologist. The parent reached out directly requesting services, or the Titan Wellness Center, which means that they were connected to us and then we referred them to continue. So then we submit the referral. Every year I erase the referral data. Well, actually I archive it. And then we collect new data. So last year at the end of the school year, we had about 230 referrals for the district. And this year we have, I think it's 252 maybe. So we're definitely on track to surpass that number from last school year. The Valentine referrals, that's the breakdown, is the 15 from staff. As one of the things from Valentine, the majority of those referrals do come from Stacy Beavers, the counselor, through that care team process. And then we have some that are direct parent referral. And then we have those students that have been ongoing receiving support from us. So one of just the new things, we're always trying to find different ways to engage and really want to create an opportunity for parents to connect and have that community. So we want to invite parents to reach out and ask about challenges. What are the difficulties that you're having with your kids? You did not go to school, typically parents did not, to learn how to navigate those developmental milestones, but every single person, certificated staff member on all of our campuses did. So it really makes sense that we have those conversations with parents. Parents actually reach out all the time through our generic email, the Titan Wellness Center at SMUSD.us, or they email me directly because they found me on the website and they ask, hey, can we just connect? Can we just talk about some student behaviors? Can I just kind of see what it is that you're providing? I also hear a lot from parents about how they've been trying to find a private therapist in the community and has really struggled to find someone. Oftentimes you can't find anyone in person. And so the Titan Wellness Center, we offer that. And that's really valuable to the students because we go to the different school sites to be able to meet with the kids and then also with the parents. The other side of that is I'll also find parents who have that private therapist in the community and they have no idea what is going on with their child in therapy. They don't have any meetings with the therapist. They don't know what the goals are. And they're very kept separate from the process. And therefore the parent is kind of not sure how it is that they could support their child to meet their therapeutic needs. Here we do things different. We're all about focusing on that parent collaboration. How could we build the bond between the child and parent so that way they can have communications? As Peijen said, then we can graduate them from therapy and then they're off their own and they have a stronger relationship. So because we see all of these things, we offered this parent consultation coming up this summer. It was new, so we sent out that flyer and immediately we had quite a response, so much so we're sold out. And then even today we were continuing to get people to sign up for that. I don't remember if there's another slide about it. Okay, no, go back. So this was really exciting for us because we were just hoping some of my trainees, because some of their clients were going to be going off on vacations and not around in the summer, but we still stay open at the Titan Wellness Center. What an awesome opportunity to invite parents that would just like to sit down, chat about their students' behaviors, get some, just have a conversation, connect, ask school questions, whatever it would be. So we put together this flyer and sent it out. And then sure enough, it was really quick. I think we ended up within like the first 2 days with like 20 referrals. And when you check multiple sessions, and I think we said like 1 through 3, 3 is multiple, that's 60 hours of time that we're going to be sitting with parents to support them. So I think in the end today, I want to say we had about 25. And so depending on the situation, we're going to try and squeeze them in. But it's such a beautiful opportunity for us to connect with parents to support them in their goal of trying to parent their child in this difficult time. Some of the issues that was brought up by Peijen that we see, it's that stress, navigating social relationships, students on their cell phones but still feeling isolated, and how to navigate when that child is not returning your bids for emotional connection. When you're saying, tell me about something that happened at school, it was fine, and they have nothing else to say. So those are some of the things that we are addressing. And when you have a stronger connection in the home, then you perform better at school, you have less discipline issues. So it really is a whole holistic thing that we're trying to do here, which does include parent support. So I appreciate you coming out tonight, not only just to speak and share your thoughts and feelings or concerns that you had, but then to stay and hear all of the wonderful things that we're doing as a district. So thank you very much.
Thank you.